Hey, hello everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back to the Linescapes channel, dear Linescapers. We're very glad that you joined us for this live video, and for everyone watching on replay, you're about to learn something amazing.
Yeah. So today we're gonna dive into topic trees and vegetation.
Exactly. This is one of the my favorite things to draw, and I think you will also enjoy it a lot, and I hope you will take a lot with you.
Yeah. So I hope you prepared everything. So I'm not sure that we defined what we need for today, but we're gonna come to that.
Yeah, I can already say it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what you're basically going to need is like a piece of paper or two. You can also use your sketchbook, because today we're going to draw like 3-4 different maybe trees or like sketches of vegetation. And then you can use basically today whatever you want for drawing. I will be using a pencil, quite a soft pencil, and you can be also using a pen or a thin marker. And then for the second part, where we will be adding some color, I need you to get maybe at least 2 color tones. Now, if you don't have any colored pencils at home, you can use other stuff, markers, you can use watercolors or whatever. I will use colored pencils because most people probably have them, and I will use dark green and light green, and maybe, some more if you have them lying around, but you basically need just 2. So this is it.
Awesome. So, dear community, how are you? Are you ready? We would like to start slowly. So I hope you're gathering your stuff and everything. So, yeah, that you're prepared.
So as always, you can ask us questions into the chat. You can also donate us through the super chat. We'd appreciate it. And of course, we'll do our best to answer all of your questions.
Yeah.
As always.
Okay, so I have a few comments here. Our viewers are ready.
All right.
And they say that landscape architects are the best at drawing trees.
Well, we'll see about that. But, I have drawn my share of trees in my life and career,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, I would also say that you're in very good hands because Kasper, in my opinion, draws really beautiful trees.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Let's dive into it.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
I will just switch the camera.
Okay, so already you see we have a nice tree for you lined up down at the right bottom, and you will be able to see what I'm drawing here. If you have additional questions, just type it in the chat. And before we will start drawing that tree that you see there, we will look at some general tips how to draw trees that will help you a lot later on. So, first things first. You can draw along with me with this one. We're just gonna, sketch up some rules for drawing vegetation, plants, and trees. The first thing to consider and to know about drawing trees and vegetation is that they are always volumes in your sketch or in your view. Let me tell you what I mean with that. Let's say I would have a landscape view. It can also be an urban view. It can also be whatever, but whenever you have some plants or vegetation, in a view, they're always basically volumes in your image, right? So let's say this landscape has some trees in it. Maybe it has a tree group. Maybe it has some shrubs there. Maybe it has some shrubs up front. This will help you a lot. Think about those as volumes in your view, right? This is generally a good advice for drawing. Like, think about volumes and surfaces when you're drawing. And the vegetation is always a volume. It's always round, and this is just something you can keep in mind. Okay, so now let's move on to a single tree, right? Or different kinds of vegetation. So when you draw basically a tree or different kinds of vegetation, it's important to remember that it helps if you really observe it and try to observe its form. So now you can also draw with me. Let's say here, tree forms. So a tree can be a basic like egg, right? We can do an egg form, and it has a tree trunk, and this is already like a universal symbol for tree. I think everyone would understand if we drew something like this. Okay, but you know, if you're from somewhere where cypresses grow, you will notice if you observe it that the cypress actually has a very different form.
It's very long, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What other forms do we have?
Well, then we have the triangular form, irregular form, the oval form, or the round one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. A triangle.
Then you have like the trees that form like some sort of umbrella, you know?
Umbrella.
It gives you like really this refugee feeling. You're just walking underneath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, it helps you actually, if you observe it, it helps you to draw it, because if you will get the tree crown right, then the tree will look much more realistical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think this is the first form. Sometimes it depends what are you drawing, but sometimes you don't get further from this kind of sketching, right? You just emphasize the form and then you maybe add some shadow and that's it, especially if it's like very far away from us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically the shape is not only important for single trees, but let's say you're drawing other vegetation. Let's say you're drawing a group of trees. So when you're drawing a group of trees, you would basically, their crowns merge into one.
A bit up.
Yeah, thanks. Their crowns merge into one form. This is very good to remember, and if you observe tree groups really closely, like tree clumps, then you will see that their crowns actually do grow together if they're the same tree species. Like they're kind of cooperating. It's quite amazing.
Wow.
So basically
Fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact. Trees do communicate. Trees of the same species do communicate with each other, and they actually share nutrients. They share information through the roots and mycelium. So this is just a fun fact right there for you. Okay, so this is a group of trees. Now let's say we have some, if we have some shrubs or something, one shrub would basically be, again, a volume, a form, but with no tree trunk, right? I mean, it grows basically all the way to the ground. And if it was a group of shrubs, it would basically be like a cloud resting on the floor, right? So these are the basic forms for vegetation. If you have questions to this point, you can gladly ask us. And this is also good to know if you don't have time and are sketching outside, and you know what Sonia likes to use, like the train is just leaving, your train is leaving and you have to finish a sketch. This will already be enough to understand that this is a tree. And even you can tell what kind of tree it is.
Yeah, for sure. So Tina asked something very interesting. What's your favorite tree?
Oh.
And I would also like to ask, what is it? I mean, we would be very much interested to know what's your favorite tree.
Yeah.
Kind.
What is yours?
I'm not sure that I have one.
You don't have a favorite tree?
I need to think about it.
I have my favorite tree is catalpa tree. Yeah, you can Google it up for those of you who don't know it. I don't know. I just like it.
Yeah.
I just like it. It has nice blossoms. It has huge leaves. It's not so bushy. It's not so full, but it has like amazing forms with its tree trunk and branches.
Well, now when I think about it, maybe what the tree that's very special to me is ginkgo.
Ginkgo.
Yeah,
Wow.
ginkgo biloba, but not because because it has like such a nice tree form. Because I think it doesn't, but the leaves are amazing. You know, it really gives you something.
Yeah, totally.
It's entertaining in
Yes.
some way.
Landscape architects geek talk.
Yeah. Okay, so what do we have here? So Tina likes Populus tremula.
So this is wow. This is a Latin name, Populus tremula. If someone is out there who knows the English name for this, please share. It's poplar tree. It's a type of a poplar. Populus is a Latin for poplar. So I think it was somewhere around that.
Ah, we have another ginkgo biloba fan.
All right.
Yes, Anget. And Carlos like Arrancaria.
All right.
Hmm?
I don't know what that one is, but I have to look it up.
Maple tree, magnolia. Wow, interesting. Tamarugo. Wow, great. For your homework, you should draw your favorite tree and post it in our group. That would be interesting.
Yeah, speaking of the group, the Facebook group is where we basically invite you to join and post your drawings, and then you can get feedback from the other people from the community. I really love how this community on the Facebook group is developing. Yeah. People commenting on each other's work, we comment and give feedback. Yeah. It's a great place. If you have Facebook, do join.
We will welcome you warmly.
Warmly.
Okay,
with a warm embrace.
What's the next step?
Next step. All right, so you already probably been eager to draw this winter view of the tree that we have here. So this is now, we're gonna do 3 drawings of the same tree, okay? We are going to do a winter one, so you see how to draw trees in winter. We're going to do a normal one with foliage, but we're just going to be using like a pen or your pencil, and then we're going to do a third one with color. And we'll share some tips on how to draw each of them in each technique. So let us start with the winter tree. Get your pencil or your pen and let's go. For this one, you know, I will divide my page here on, or basically try to fit all 3 of the trees on this, but so let me say here will be the first one, here will be the second one, here will be the third one. Just marked a bit of the points. You can do the same so your trees don't, you know, but you can do it on separate pages as well. And I want them to be about, you know, let's say this high. Okay, a bit smaller. What I just did is a bit of mapping out the page so we can fit everything on it. Okay, so the same way we started before. Drawing a tree is always started with
forms.
Yes. So I'm going to start with an outline. Observe it.
Go with your paper a bit to the...
Oh yeah.
Today we had a small technical problem with our second camera. But you can still see what Kasper is drawing, and that's the most important part.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you depict the form right now?
Well, what I was doing, I looked at the tree and I looked at the edge of the small twigs, right? And it basically forms like you know, like a cloud of these small branches and twigs. And I did an outline of this cloud. You know, I was looking at it and I went and I outlined it roughly, right? Mm-hmm. And this already gives us the first like impression. So what we're going to do next is we're going to fill it with branches. And for this, you always start with step 1, the tree trunk. So observe it and try to get the thickness of the tree trunk right. I'll just do 2 lines here. Okay. And now I will continue with this. Basically up. You can see where the tree trunk starts to split. You know, there will be another branch going off there. This is again splitting, and then it will vanish into some branches. And the interesting thing with drawing a tree in winter is that all the branches and all the twigs always reach all the way to the edge of the tree. Yeah, if you observe it, you see every branch, it goes into smaller branches and then twigs, and they finish off at the edge of the tree. So this is what we're going to do. I just did first branches that go all the way in twigs to the end, and now I will continue adding these branches. There we go, there's another one. The ones near to the trunk, I give them a bit of a double line, so.
Is it important? I can see that when you're moving your hand, you're doing specific lines. You're not like doing like spaghetti lines or like very cutted lines. What would you have here? Any advice on how to define those fine finger lines?
Well, obviously, if you're drawing a spaghetti tree, you should have the spaghetti line. This is a well-known fact of tree drawing lore. Obviously.
Yeah.
But, well, the interesting thing is this is like an oak tree, right? And you can see that oak trees, you can also, tell what tree it is by looking at the branches. Oak trees have this like a bit of as if it was like a bouncy form like this. Sometimes they have branches like this, so maybe I'm following that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Good that you pointed it out. I was actually doing it subconsciously, I think.
Yeah, I know, but I saw many examples before, and that's the main problem usually, or challenge, how to define those lines, because there's a huge difference if you just pull the lines from the middle, or do you add something in between those branches when you're doing it. And
when you try to depict it realistically, it's never like, a straight line from a branch. So it's a good idea to, to try to mimic some of this branch growth. Okay, there's one also really twisted one right here. This is typical for oaks. For everyone who is into botany, you would know. All right. So now I got the basic branches outlined. So now this is like a really good tip. It will really make the tree look realistic and nice, like a winter tree. So now you have the big branches, and now go off them and make smaller branches and finish in twigs. And then, the twigs, there are really many twigs, and make them all reach all the way to the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So start at the branch, make a smaller branch, and finish with the twigs and let them go all the way to the edge that you predefined at the beginning.
How about depth? Don't branches grow toward us, not just to the left and to the right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely do. And this is something that basically optically disappears a little bit when you're drawing a tree in winter. If you look at our oak here, you basically only perceive the branches that are going all the way to the edge. It also looks a bit flatter in winter, the tree does, So it's actually normal to not draw those ones that are going towards us, because they are actually not that visible against the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay, so basically we're drawing 2D view, right?
Yeah.
So the branches that are covered, that cover the tree trunk, we just ignore them. We just leave them out, because if you want to define a nice habitus or the shape of the tree, you need to concentrate on the left and the right side.
Yeah, I mean, obvious, you could add some more, on certain parts where you see there is more dark. There is more a bit darkness and more brown, more branches. This is probably where a branch is growing towards us or, away from us. So there you can add a bit more texture. But in general, I will just shade this tree trunk, and I think we're done with this one.
Okay. I have another question. How would you draw one of those trees that have light gray, white color branches with marks that look like eyes?
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, you mean probably a birch tree, or certain poplars also have this. Yeah, beautiful. This is something, what I would do. let's come to that in the end, right?
Yeah, I would also suggest.
Let's come to that in the end. Thanks for the question. It's a great one, and in the end,
We won't forget. I'm gonna write it down.
How to do that as well, because it's an interesting point. Okay, so everyone, this is how my winter tree turned out, and I suggest we go on to the summer one.
Okay.
Yeah, if everyone is ready. Don't stress if it's not finished, if not all the branches are reaching out to the edge, but we will you will definitely have time after this video to finish it. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you must, then do a screenshot right now.
Yeah, do a screenshot of this winter tree so you can continue doing it.
Okay, so let's move on to summer tree.
All right.
Hello.
Summer. All right. Summer tree. Wow.
No, you don't have to fill the entire outline with branches. You can always leave some space in between, right?
Yeah, definitely. You can see it's not like totally full, but you know, a lot of small twigs are here. But
the thing is just that the more you're gonna add, the more defined your crown of the tree will be.
Yeah.
So that's the catch.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So now we have the summer tree.
Now the summer tree. Okay, let's dive into it. So, the summer tree, or any tree with foliage, basically has to be understood as a volume. You know, as we said at the beginning, vegetation is always like volumes. And basically, if you understand it as a volume, then you will be able to draw it much more realistically. Okay, so let's look at this one. The first step that I would do again is do a rough outline of the tree crown. Okay, so as we said before, let's start with that. Observe it and try to follow. Now the outline is much more clear. It's very clear actually. You know, the trees have very clear outlines. It will actually be quite similar to the one in should actually be quite similar to the one in the previous drawing, right? Okay, so this is like basically something like this. Okay, good. Okay, now I have like a rough outline, and I will do now the next step, which is I will subdivide this tree into like clumps. If you look at it, it's actually a bit like a cloud, right? It has this, you know, groups of leaves, right? Or how would you call them?
Yeah, groups of leaves.
Groups of leaves, yeah, groups of leaves. And this is what we try to depict to make it look realistic. So let's look at it. First at the bottom, let's start at the bottom. At the bottom there is like right away there's like a big group, and I will like try to outline it a little bit. Like this green part right here, you know, these lines here, they're a bit of a mistake, but never mind. You know, if you do a mistake, don't stress. Then we see, then the next like one I see is something here, right? There is like a group on this side. And then I see one also here. So I'm just not maybe totally defining them. I mean, I'm not even like drawing the whole shape. It's very important to draw the outer line as a whole shape, but these inner clumps, you can like leave be a little bit, you know. So I can just easily define them. Yeah, how does that look?
Cloudy.
Cloudy. It's supposed to look cloudy at this point.
Yeah. So what you defined in this step is just if I can imagine this is a branch, and then I would like to add some twigs. So this group of trees, of leaves, is basically one branch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically one branch, yeah.
It's one branch with leaves.
Yeah, exactly. These are the big branches. These clumps of trees are the big branches that are extending in all directions. Okay, so now if you also look at the tree, it has some like holes in it, right? You can see the sky at the other side. So you can also, you know, maybe mark some of these.
How big should those be?
You try to depict them as they are, but they have to be, you know, they can be big or small depending on the tree. Actually, I would say, yeah. So I just made a couple of them, and we'll probably, you know, define them even further.
Yeah.
When you go into the next step.
But those holes, is it important how many do they draw?
No, not really. It's just, you know, don't draw all of them. Obviously, there's like bazillion holes in that tree, but else we'll be sitting here until tomorrow.
Okay, I would suggest decide on 3 or maybe 5 maximum.
3 to 5 holes is the golden rule for drawing trees. My grandma used to say.
Yes. Okay. Wow. Cool grandma. Interesting fact. Okay.
Okay.
What comes next?
Now comes the cool part. Now we will do the tree trunks, and this will make it come to life. The tree trunk and the branches, right? So as before, we start with the tree trunk. And then immediately we see there are some branches branching off the tree trunk. So do the tree trunk, try to do it, you know, realistically thick. Observe how it is, and, you know, do it with a double line. First we'll shade it in and color it in later, right? Okay. And now comes the interesting part. Look at it. The tree trunk disappears underneath the first group of the first clump, the first group of leaves, and re-emerges above it. And then for a while we can see it again. Do you see that? Right, so.
Okay, and you really emphasize the tree trunk and the branches. Is it important that they do that as well? So that you have 2 types of lines, like a soft line for the outline and then for the tree trunk?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you don't have to make such a big difference, but we will color in the other stuff later, so it will get more weight. Now, one important thing when drawing this, people, is, this is really important. When drawing these branches, right? Now we see this branch disappears underneath this clump, yeah? Look at what I'm doing right now. So this branch disappears here, and then it reappears up here. And to do it realistically, follow the direction of this branch as if it, you know, would continue, and then continue it here. This is important, that all the branches, as if it was a winter tree, you know, imagine how you drew it in the first step, they all, of course, originate from the trunk. So there will no branch be growing in this direction. It's just not possible because they're all growing from the trunk out.
It's so interesting when you're explaining how do you draw this tree. I imagine that the leaves are like a dress for this tree.
Yeah.
Because you have this winter edition, winter version of tree, and then you just put something on it.
Yeah.
And of course the arms are showing, and I usually imagine like something like this. If I give it a bit more story, then I can remember it much more.
That's a nice metaphor, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, do we have any questions at this point?
Do tell us in the chat. And meanwhile, if you're getting value from this video, we'd really appreciate it if you clicked the like button.
Yeah,
give us a like. Thumbs up button.
Yes.
And, you know, of course we like it, but it's also important because this gets this video out. The more likes it gets, out to more people it will be going. So it will help us spread the knowledge, basically.
Yeah.
And you can contribute to that.
Okay, so I think everyone's good, and your instructions are very good received, so I think you can continue.
All right. So, you know, I added some more branches that are visible. You know, not all of them are very much visible, but basically now seldom a branch will be visible all the way to the edge. You see all of them stopped before. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a pen or a pencil. Now we're gonna do some shading on this tree, and this will make it look amazing. So if you look at the tree, you will see that it has some shady parts, some sketchy parts, and it has some brighter parts, right? And the best way to do this is to identify from which direction the light is coming. And I think the light is coming from this direction. So basically everything on the side where the light is coming is going to be brighter, and everything on the other side, underneath, is going to be darker. So let's go in here with the hatch. Like we're just going to hatch this here. Right? I'm just going to use a nice...
what about the tree trunk texture? Would you add that as well?
Yes, definitely. We'll add the tree trunk in the end. But first of all, I'm starting with these areas that are the darkest. And right, just, here is where the holes come, into question. You can leave them out and not color them in.
So that we establish some contrast between those two, right? So as in landscape, when we're working with layers, in tree is also some sort of layery element where you need to consider what's in front of you, what's in foreground, middle ground, and then the background.
Yes, yeah, that's well put. So what I did now, basically, I added the darkest parts. These are the ones that are basically when we're looking into the tree trunk. If this was round, you're looking into the body of the tree.
Wow, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and for the ones that are on the outside, for these tree clump or leaf clumps that we see, we also give them a bit of a lighter shading on the bottom side, because they're also like three-dimensional. All right. So this one here also, right?
Can I ask what happened with the holes?
Yeah, well, my holes are not so visible anymore because. But I will try to do it in the next step. Maybe they will become more visible.
But the point of the holes was that you could see it through, right?
Yeah.
If behind that tree would be a clear blue sky.
Yeah, you can see it.
You could see the clear blue sky.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
so now the last step. Obviously, the trunk and the branches are the darkest part. So use the darkest kind of... Use your hardest pen pressure mode to color in the trunk and the branches that have a volume. And one more trick, it makes it look quite nice. Don't, when the trunk is nearing the ground, it's suddenly lighter again, right? Because it's more light is coming onto
true.
it.
You can also notice on the photo.
Yeah. So,
Gaspar, but at this point, one question. How do you decide how to shade? So is there any rule for it? Are you orientating, are you looking at the photo and just deciding, or are there any rules how to do it?
Well, maybe I should just quickly explain the basic rule of shading, right? Let's say you have a round shape, like a sphere, right? And if the light is coming from here, then the opposite side of the sphere is going to be, and this opposite side is going to be like a crescent shape, because the shape is round, is going to lie in, is going to be shaded, right? So this is the same way we're thinking about these three groups. It's a bit more organic, like Sonia was teaching on Saturday about the clouds. This is like a cloud, and if the light is coming from here, it will have the bottom side shaded in. Yeah, I hope this answers.
Okay, so you see you have a lot of improvisation space. So you can always decide on your own, and of course I think drawing is very intuitive, so it depends on your mood or on what would you like to represent. Sometimes you find the tree trunk much more appealing and this whole situation and everything as the tree itself, so you act accordingly. You just decide spontaneously usually, but it's good to know some sort of rules like just Gaspar explained.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Should we just start doing the last one?
I'll get ready for the last one, for the colored version. Let's repeat for everyone who joined later. So right now we did it in pencil or in pen. this is the winter, this is like a, you know, summer version, and now we're going to do the same tree also in color with foliage. And for that you need a minimum of, I would say, just 2 colors. You know, I have here a light green and a dark green. And if you have something more, you can also get, you know, like a brown or maybe some yellow. But that's all you will need. And you don't need colored pencils. You can get markers, you can get watercolor, you know, whatever. Sorry about that. Whatever is lying around your place right now. Okay.
Yeah, so otherwise, of course, Gasper is explaining everything very precisely. But if you want to have a shorter version, we did 2 videos on how to draw a tree. So I can recommend you to watch that. I'm gonna post it also in our chat. And then the other version is also the Cardscapes. There's also one, I'm gonna show it here. So this one also shows how to draw a tree, like a really basic one, but so that you don't forget, you can put those in your sketchbook and just take it with you on the go.
And where can people get those?
On Gumroad, but I'm gonna put this also in our chat.
All right, so these are our cardscapes, you know, like Linescapes, but cards, so postcards, you can send them to friends. And
then we wanted to be funny as well, and we wrote like some juicy text here on the backside.
Yeah,
so
we tried.
If you have our cardscapes already, then you should go and just grab one and read what's written in the on the backside.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Secret messages there, encoded. Okay.
Yes. Oh, you have all the cardscapes. At room ice dramae.
Yeah, we're doing our best with the nicknames here, people, and with the names.
But I still think that I'm just like,
butchering it. Yeah, sorry about that.
All the time.
Okay, let's go to the color one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone, now let's do the color tree. And for this, I will start with the brightest color. And it is basically will be the same process if you do it with different medium. If you do it with markers, it's going to be the same. If you do it with watercolor, it's going to be the same. It's just going to take a bit longer to dry. But nevertheless, we will first start with an outline. You know, you can first mark like an outline of this tree, and just to get a feeling with the brightest color you'll be using. Right? Let's look at that. So I'm just going around. This is basically, obviously, should be almost the same shape. There we go. Now I will just continue basically with coloring this in. You know, I will just color this whole tree in. Try to color it in evenly. It doesn't have to be really impressive. You know, if you're using other mediums, then do it in your way. But you know, I usually, when drawing with colored pencils, I usually do like this kind of hatch. So I do lines from like how do you call it? Diagonal lines. I do diagonal lines. Why diagonal? Because the diagonal hatching, diagonal texture gives it a feeling of volume, and this is perfect for trees. If you have vertical lines, if you do vertical hatching or texture, then it will look more flat. Okay. Now we have this one. Okay, now let's go back to our tree and take the darker green or whatever you're doing. If you don't have greens and you're doing a dark pink, light pink, that is completely okay. We do not judge.
Wow, you came far.
I came, yeah.
So you did the outline and then colored everything in.
Exactly.
With the lightest color.
With the lightest color. Because now I will be adding basically the shading. Right? And I will be adding the shading on the same spots that we were using before. You know, that we were shading in before. So this will make these tree clumps come more to life. This will actually, now we have first we had a flat surface, and now we are basically underneath where the three clumps should be. We're doing the shading. And also here in the middle, you know, this is the darkest part, as we learned. You can also add, of course, some here. This is also supposed to be a tree clump, so I'll add some shading here. And up here there's another one. Right, so let's add, basically we're like doing this.
The shadowy areas.
Yeah, everything that's in shade, we're gonna apply some darker.
Okay, so here I can give you one small tip. Try to, what do you say, squint with your eyes?
Yeah.
Try to squint with your eyes, and then you're gonna just notice that the contrasts are much stronger because there's absence of detail, and for that you're gonna be more precise and defining shadow.
Yeah. So I will go back to and do a deeper shade right there, but to now define it even further, I will take basically, if you have a darker brown, take a darker brown. If you don't have, you can use your pencil or your pen to get, you know, this darkest, blackest tone. And let's start drawing the tree trunk, you know, the same way we did before. Basically, so it reaches all the way to the first clump.
Are you using brown or black?
I'm using brown here. Yeah. I think it gives it a more, you know, I know it's almost black basically. Maybe, you know, I can go in with black in the end, but I will start with the brown. So this is basically visible here. Let me. There you go. Now it's immediately looking way more like an actual tree, right? So these are the branches. And now we know this disappears. The trunk disappears and then reappears up here. So where I also did like a dark. So above this light area, you know, where I left it bright green, it's where the trunk re-emerges and runs a bit up and then will disappear again. All right.
Are you looking at the reference photo or to your sketch?
I'm looking at the reference photo now. But this is actually quite an interesting question, because once you get, you know, the hang of drawing trees, you don't need a reference photo anymore. You can just generate trees and they will look realistic, because you know this kind of principle. So once you've drawn a couple, you will actually be able to draw any tree out of your head, basically.
Kasper, we need to make a small break.
Yeah?
Because we got a super chat.
Oh, wow.
And this deserves a heart.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it so much. So every donation you give us, thank you, Anne, so much, goes towards, you know, us doing more of this content for you. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so let's continue. Otherwise, so is there anything else that you would like to add? Otherwise, I can also read a comment or two from our comment
go on, and I will keep drawing.
Section. So, drawing technical just wrote a really interesting thing that I drew a tree the other day because I'm working on a video talking about a tree that destroyed a wall, and then I asked a bit what happened, and the answer was the tree roots grow into the wall and caused it to fall apart over a river. Wow, it's awesome, right? How strong the trees are.
Yeah, amazingly strong.
And that's why you can also notice that at the bottom the tree is never like just straight. It always is a bit more, how do you say, shirok?
Wide?
Wide?
Yeah.
It's always a bit more wide because the roots are starting to appear, and because of that you have this feeling that, it's really grounded. You can really see it. And this is also something that you emphasized a bit.
Yeah, I drew the tree trunk is always a bit wider when it meets the ground.
Okay, a comment. Love how you blended the tree trunks into the tree. And yes, of course, the same version that you did with the graffiti, Gasper, you could also do it in one color, right? I mean, you could take now green and draw the whole thing now in just green.
Yeah.
Green color.
Exactly.
Colored
It's
pencil.
monochromatic, basically. You know, I did it in this pencil, but it could be monochromatic.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now I'm adding just a bit of deeper shading with this dark green here.
Wow.
Let's go deeper with this brown.
So would you at this point also start adding any leaves?
Well, it doesn't need to, I would say. You know, it doesn't need leaves, my tree. It's fine without leaves. Yeah, I could. And how would I do that? I would basically just take this darker color and I would just add, you know, some dots, and this gives it a feeling of a texture, right? I would add some dark dots on the bottom side of the tree clumps, and then I will take the lighter color and just add some of these dots on the top sides. This will make it, yeah, there you go. This gives it a feeling of leaves right away.
Dexter said, "This looks so realistic," and Tina says, "Wonderful work there, Kasper. The volume really pops out."
Oh, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. I'm glad you like it. All right.
Wow, so at the end you go inside and then you just push with the color a bit more so that you get a bit stronger effect.
Yes. And if you have a black, now let's go into the deepest, you know. If you have a black, you can also finish with the black and, you know, go into the darkest places, which is basically like the tree trunk, and add some of the deepest.
Oh, wow.
Deepest shade.
But this is almost illustration, Kasper.
Yeah, well, it's always depend on how much time you have. But we started, remember where we started? We started by understanding the tree and how, you know, its volume is. And, you know, sometimes, and this is basically very important to know before you start in something more detailed. And I wanted to show you a whole array of this, going from the most basic to the most complex. So let's go see again what we learned today.
Okay.
So basically the first thing we said is trees and vegetation are volumes in the space, in landscape, in an urban environment, or whatever you're drawing or sketching. So think of them as volumes, right? Then second, always try to recognize the shape of this vegetation. You know, if it's a tree, then observe the crown shape. And this will already be enough if you don't have time to do more. You know, just, you know, 1-2 branches here. And this is it, basically, right? Cypress tree, yeah. And tree clumps, basically, remember, they form one single shape. Shrubs and bushes also form single larger shapes. Okay.
Okay, yeah, so I think this is very interesting. Also, how far you came with these techniques. You basically shown us 3 versions of how to draw a tree.
Yeah.
But this is just the beginning, right?
It is just the beginning.
It is just the beginning. Not for today. We are not continuing right now because I think that's enough of information for one live stream. But please let us know if you're interested in another one where we could discuss how do you draw trees and vegetation in landscapes and urban spaces.
Or also use another medium like watercolor, you know. Also let us know if it's something you would be interested in.
Yeah. So that's that part.
All right.
Yeah. So we would be very happy if you would share your sketches with us. As always, you know, we like to comment, we like to give you some tips and advice. So we would be more than glad if you would share those with us. And of course, if you want our direct feedback, there's also a coming live stream on Friday.
Yeah, Friday is amazing. People really like it. We're getting great feedback.
Yeah.
We are calling it Feedback Friday. And Friday at 5 p.m. here European time, we are going to give feedback to you to the sketches and drawings and works you send us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where can people send us these works?
You can send us this work on Instagram, linescapes.drawing, or in our Facebook group, Linescapers.
Yeah. And it's great value. Like, you really learn a lot even if you don't send your own drawings. So do share this also with your friends, if you're a student, with your friends from school or whatever, or family, anyone who might be interested in improving their drawing skills.
Yeah. So if you enjoyed our content and you would like to recommend it to someone, as Kasper said, bring your friends, and of course, if you don't want to miss any future videos, subscribe to our channel.
Definitely subscribe and ring that bell.
Yeah.
The bell is obviously important. It's fun to click on the bell.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah. It has like a ring to it. Ding, like really intuitive. So nice. Yeah, and I would like to send another heart out for Tina.
Oh, thank you,
Tina. Very much.
Thank you. We really, really appreciate it. And we appreciate every one of you who join us for this live stream. And we appreciate everyone who's watching on replay. And we're glad that you're interested in drawing and creativity. And hope to see you around more.
Yeah. So,
take your phone, take a snapshot of your trees, post it to Facebook or Instagram.
And keep on drawing.
And see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Mwah.
And of course, thank you, Isidore.
Yeah, we're finished with the heart. Look, like this. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.